One or two people have emailed in and asked what sort of compost mix we use. Basically it's a combination of last year's compost mix, which I've got inside the sieve here, and some John Innes, a little bit of fish blood and bone, and some perlite, just to lighten things up, just to keep it nice and light and airy. So basically what I'm making here is a seed mix. So as you can see, I've already sifted some of this last year's compost into a fine soil, or into a fine compost. I'll just do a bit more and just sift that all through. So things you want to get rid of is all the wood and the stones and whatever. I just chuck those back in the garden, let them thaw out, let them rot down a bit. Okay, so that's the basic compost mix. As you can see, it's absolutely beautiful stuff, and this is all from last year's green matter, straw, anything that goes on the compost heap really. There is actually a piece on the blog about creating compost. So if you want to know how to make this kind of stuff, black gold as it's referred to, just have a quick gander. I'll put the link below and you can find out exactly how to make compost just like this. So into that I'll probably put just a couple of big handfuls of John Innes, just a little bit, just to make it go a little bit further. Into that I'll just take a handful of fish blood and bone, sprinkle it in, not too much of that, it doesn't need a huge amount, and then about a quarter to half of that again in either perlite or vermiculite, and then just literally mix it all up by hand. Get a feel for the compost. If you think it's a little bit heavy or a little bit thick, if you like, just add a little bit more perlite, or alternatively, as I sometimes do, I'll just add a little bit of ericaceous compost to it, just to lighten it up a bit more. But because this is a seed compost, you don't want too much of that ericaceous in there, and there you have a perfect seed mix. Okay, so it's that time of the year when you can actually start sowing some seeds. We're very fortunate in that we've got a polytunnel, so we can grow quite a few things in there a little bit early. I'm going to plant, first thing I'm going to plant up is some beetroot, some standard beetroot seeds. This is Boltardi, a good old faithful that we grow every year. And all I'm going to do is actually plant about 4 seeds in each pot. Don't overfill the pot, so you can actually water it, get the seeds in, and then add a little bit more on top. So probably about ½ inch from the top of the pot. Alright. Okay, we'll do it with these 4 just to show you first of all what's in there. Okay, here they are. If you've not seen these before, quite odd looking seeds actually, not like the usual sort of round seed, a little bit odd looking. So just literally I take 4 of those, position them in the top of that pot, spread them out, don't have them too close, roughly 4 in a pot, don't have to be exact. There you go. Put them back in there. I'll plant the rest in a minute. And then just take a handful of soil on the top. No need to pat it down too hard, just firm it down a little bit. You know, they need to grow, they need some air. And don't bury them too deep. When you come to plant seeds, it's all about how big the seed is. You know, don't plant too deep. Especially when you get really fine seeds, you're better off just actually putting them on the top. Things like leeks or sage, just literally sprinkle the seed on the top and then just press it in ever so slightly and then water them well in. And that's it, really. That's our compost mix. I'll just run through that again. It's basically a combination of our well-rotted compost from last year. It's mixed in with a little bit of John Innes seed compost, with about 30 to 50% perlite or vermiculite, and then a little handful of fish blood and bone. And it works wonders, works really well for us. Thanks very much. So they're all potted up now and ready to go into the polytunnel, ready to grow away. Just before I do that, I tend to plant my beetroot in particular in pots, in groups of 4s, simply because I think they just get off to a better start, quite frankly. They have this compost to get off to a good start with, and also it means you don't have to do any pricking out. later on, so they literally can just get planted straight out from the pots. I find they just seem to get away better, and they create stronger and obviously better vegetables at the end of the day. So they can go back into the tray with the rest. Above all, add a label with today's date on it, so you know just basically how long they're going to take to germinate. And they can go in the polytunnel. I'll water them in, and then in about probably, I'd say probably 2 weeks, depending upon the weather, they should be through. Thanks, sir.